What are they trying to do? You know, the kids have to be able to read this. They have to have some idea of what the offense, where they're trying to get their shots from. You guys look at your zone offenses and you will say to your kids, we're trying to get our shots off the baseline. We're either trying to get them off the wing, we're trying to get them off the high post area. Most of you have a player, and a lot of that's dictated by how good your player is, where the emphasis of the offense is going to come from. So we would try to stress that with our kids. Teach them how to control the ball. We want the ball to either go to the right or the left. Teaching them how we do that, how we overplay, how we position ourselves, that just encourages that ball to go a certain direction. How to anticipate, how to learn to read the eyes. At the high school level, it's even, you know, to me, it's easier to do. But you pass a ball, if it's a sharp pass, you're going to pass it probably a two-hand chest pass or it's a bounce pass. So the ball is below your shoulders. If you're going to pass a skip pass or go over the top, most of those passes are going to come up above the shoulders, or it's going to be some type of a baseball pass. Very few teams have the ability to go across court from below their shoulder with a pass. So we teach the kids, you know, watch the hands. Where is the ball? You know, what is the guy doing? Most kids look where they're going to throw the ball. You know, you get to the very best teams, and you know, they might be able to throw the ball without actually looking. But my belief is, in general, kids are going to look where they're going to pass the ball. If they're going to throw over the top, you're going to see them kind of get a little different fixture in where they're looking than if they're just going to throw here or throw here or throw here. But my belief is that you teach these kids to anticipate and to look where the ball's going, and then how to react to it. In other words, your weight's forward, your weight's back. You're ready to go in the direction in which you think they're going to go. We teach the kids how to pressure, how to put pressure on that ball to control where the ball is. I think if you think back, I would always ask my kids this question. If you had a chance to design the type of defense that you want to play against, what kind of defense would you want to play against? And every one of us know that answer. Let's stand back, let me get the ball, let me catch it, let me get where I want, let me get set, let me shoot it. So we're selling the opposite. If that's what you would like, everybody would like that situation. So to be successful, you have to be able to deny, to pressure, to bump, to push, to make that kid have to work. If he's going to score, that he's got to work. So teaching pressure on the perimeter, increasing angles, how to do that. Those are all things we're doing in our first days of practice. We taught a very aggressive game. We even though our kids were very affluent families and they were spoiled, and I didn't have a great number of kids who came out for basketball, but the kids that came out knew that we were going to demand a higher level than what they were used to. We had a kind of a policy in our district, an unwritten policy in our district, that you didn't cut anybody. I didn't have to cut, because when they got to my level, most of the kids either didn't want to put the effort in, they didn't want to put the time, they didn't want to work as hard, so I didn't have that problem. Freshmen, we kept everybody. Sophomores, we weeded some out. But by the time they were the juniors and seniors, they pretty well knew what they wanted. And the kids had to be able to take a charge, they had to be able to give it, they had to body check, they had to do all these things. Low post defense, we taught how to front, we taught how to react, we taught how to switch, but these were all part of our low post fronting situation. How to contest cutters. You know, how to be able to step over when that cutter is coming, and knowing or anticipating when he passes this way, we've got to react to that pass so that he doesn't have an angle that he can go in front of you, that he's got to be going behind you. So you teach that just by your normal drills. Teach defensive rebounding responsibilities. I mean, all of us have taught how to block off, but do we break it down besides that? Do we say, if that ball is shot from 20 feet from the basket, most likely it's going to be a long rebound. How many times do you watch even at the college level? Here's this 20, 25-foot shot, and they run inside the free throw line, and they stand there ready to rebound, and here's the ball. It's going to ricochet back out. So you have to tell your kids. It's a natural reaction. But I guess we really worked on these little bitty points of trying to teach, and then it became automatic. And then we taught the transition game, which meant that when we got the ball, we would pass break to the other end. I really love talking on a matchup, but I really, really, really love talking on our fast break. Because, you know, you've got to be able, once you get the ball, if you are an inferior talented team, you got to be able to get the ball down at the other end. You cannot be, and when I first started out coaching, I thought, you know, we don't have any talent. We'll walk the ball up, we'll pass it, we'll make sure we get the good shot. The only problem is that when you're playing against big kids, the best shot you're probably going to get is out there on the perimeter. I mean, we couldn't go inside until I started teaching kids how to post up inside and how to draw the foul. And then things, you know, got better. But so we started running with the ball. I mean, that's another day. But I really loved our fast break. It's not the normal fast break. We had a sideline type fast break. Okay, I'm going to leave that up, and I'm going to talk to you. But I want you to take one of these now and turn to that page. I want to caution you on these staples. Some of them didn't get pushed down on the back, so make certain that you don't nip your fingers. These are the worst kind of little nicks that you get. But watch those staples. And turn to where we are. If you find one in there that's written on, we had a cancellation of a coach at one of our clinics last spring, and I just happened to carry one of these along with me, and I wrote in it before and so if you got that copy, then just let me know. This is the terminology that you're going to hear me referring to. Key, guard, forward, center, and rover. Key, when you talk about key, this is the person who designates the coverage. He can never be wrong. This kid never makes a mistake. He just has to designate. And in the early days that we were teaching this, you would see our key standing out on the floor, pointing. And we all knew this is who he was guarding. And if ball went this direction to the other guard, say in a two-guard front, you would see him drop back into the middle, but he'd be going like this. So that everybody knows, this is my man. This is who I'm king. This is who I am playing and responsible for. I'm now in a help situation, but this is my man. So everybody is keying off of wherever he is. So I will encourage you, when you get in, if you decide to do something like this, you know, have that kid point. We'd even take a football coach and give us one of their little different colored scrimmage vests and put that on. So everybody knew who key was. And they would key off of where he was. Guard, first man to the left of key. Wherever key was, whomever he was guarding, first man to the left. Forward, first man to the right. First man to the right. Now when we talk about this is who they're responsible for, we're talking about offensive threat areas, we're talking about people that are, you know, you're in a scoring area, and that's who you're responsible for.
So it's the offensive position of the man. So wherever key is, guard but it's to our right defensively.
Right. I tell you what I'm going to do. Let me do this. I'm going to put an overhead up, and I'll draw on a 2-3, 2-1-2 lineup, and you'll see where we are off of that, and it'll give you kind of an idea. Center is a man in the middle, and basically what we told him is he plays between the ball and the basket. Wherever the ball is, as the ball moves around, center is position primarily is between the ball and the basket. And rover is the guy that has to really think. He has to be able to count to two. He has the man second man right or left of the key. Second man right or left of the key. And if you want to even make it easier than that is, he's got the first man right or left of whomever the forward or the guard is. But this is the terminology that that we use, and I'll put this over here because we may come back to that. Now, 2-3 or 2-1-2. This would be the lineup when we talk about key, guard, rover, forward, center. Now, when I say that, and I've got some slides that are overheads that we'll come back to, this is set up with an offense that predominantly goes to the right. And I think that most teams that you play, this is where most of your shots come from, because most of the kids are right-handed shooters, and so most of your offense comes to this side of the floor. But if you had a team that was a left-handed team or a left-handed point guard that really went to the left a lot, and I'll show you one, you can just flip-flop this over. You can flip-flop it over, and you can do exactly the same thing. Nothing would change. I think we did that maybe no more than 5 times in all the times that we played teams that we flip-flop it. But this is the way we set up most of the time. So key, guard, rover, center, forward. Responsible for designating first man to the left of key. So, you know, we're talking about this position. Here's key, first man to the left of key. So you're, you know, facing the defensive player. Okay, now then, I want to get into the rules, individual rules and responsibilities for the guards. Now, most of this, I'm not going to read this to you because you guys can read this and ladies can read this. And when we start getting in and putting people on the floor, you're going to see, you know, basically what we're talking about. But key is responsible for designating the matchup. You know, he determines. That's the person that is going to say, this is who I'm guarding. In a one guard front, if there's a one guard front, then that's the person he has. If it's the 2 guard front, then he's taking the guard on this position. This is where he's going to be. So if we just stick up a simple offense up here for simplicity's sake, responsible here, 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 and here.
So in reality, key is not generally on their point guard?
No. No. Just wherever, whomever, but I think you will find in most cases, whomever the point guard is at the top of the circle. Most teams, and we'll get into this, you know, if you're playing against a 2-3 zone, how do you attack a 2-3 zone? Probably a 1-3-1, maybe a 1-2-2, maybe a stack on one side. But we'll get into that. But most of them then is how they cut. Where do they go after they come down and set up in this? Or the postman may be down on the low post, and then naturally center is going to adjust. Since I have the pin, and since I will have the pin last, I will always win. I will always be able to slide and understand. I don't mean that in an arrogant standpoint. We could sit here and argue, and in the final analysis, after it's all said and done, if you can execute what you're trying to do better than I can execute, and you've got better talent, you're going to win. You're going to get the shot. It's going to be all over. Because this doesn't mean that you're never going to score. This doesn't mean you're never going to get beat. This is just hopefully going to make you more competitive. And that's what I tried to sell my kids. We're going to be more competitive. And we're not going to get blown out. And we're going to have some control. And we're going to have some fun. And we're going to create some of the situations of what other teams are trying to do. In a one guard front, we're going to push the kids to the right or the left, whichever way. Now, like I said, if we're in a one guard front, and you can follow this in your book, if the guard is in a one guard front, Key is going to push this guard right or left. Now let me, as I make this presentation, you'll notice that I'm putting the key or the point guard or one guard front always right here in the middle. Absolutely never want that to happen. We will have this key, this point either over here or over here, but we never, the last place we want the ball to be in a one guard front is at the top of the circle. Simply because, as I said, we want to dictate where the offense is going. We want to push that ball, and we may come all the way out to here if it's a one guard front. We may pick that ball up here. We may pick it up on the side just to make sure that we push that ball one side or the other, because we don't want them to get to the top of the circle and then start dictating how they want to run their offense. So you never want this, even though you're going to find me doing this. That's not gospel of what we're trying to do. Two guard front, Key's responsible to the offensive player to the right, and the two guard front, Key has the high post responsibility. So what we mean by that is that if pass is made here, Key is back at the top of the circle. Now when we taught that, if this blue card is the top of the circle and I'm the key and I'm right here and the pass is made there, we taught our kids to come back and put one foot inside the top of that circle, and this hand would be back here reaching toward where the high post might be, or reaching back toward the free throw line. So we're here, pass is made, we're dropping back into here, and we've got this hand up here just acting as a little bit of deterrent. If you take a kid and you try to pass through, they see an obstacle, they'll try to adjust to that whether you need to or not. They'll see a hand and they'll try to go over it, even though you might not be able to get to it anyway. That's what we're talking about here. In a one guard front, Key has provides help to the side, defense for the guard and for the forward. So, if we have the one guard or two guard front, Key is, the pass say is made here, Key is coming down and takes that kind of a position. In other words, protecting, once again, this middle area. And if it's a one guard front, and the pass is made, Key is going down to this elbow area. So if you look at Key, his basic triangle, and like I say, this is not, I like to make it more of a box than it is off the triangle. We like for the ball to be on one side or the other that Key is working off of. And if the ball is here, as we said earlier, he's going to be a half a step increasing that angle. If he's here guarding here, he's going to be a half a step to the outside. We had on our floor, we had all kinds of lines, but there was a line that was just about 2 feet out from right here. And we wanted our guard and our key, and a two guard or a one guard front, when that ball was moving here or moving here, we wanted them to stay faced up with the offensive player until they got to this position, and then they changed their angle to go this direction. And this would help on increasing the angle pass to the wing. Ideally, you'd like a tall, rangy kid, long arms. It would be great. But in our case, and realistically, your key will just be your smallest player. He'll most likely be your smallest player. Okay, guard. Guard's responsible for first man to the left of key. And in a one guard front, guard has wing position. So if you look at a 1-3-1, he is going to be on the wing. So if they're in a 1-3-1, guard now is going to be here, rover's going to be here, center's going to be here, forward's here, and key is here, just in that responsibility. And we'll come to that in an overhead here in just a minute. Do
you designate when you're going to do that set to the left?
Yes. yes. We will say, if we're going to push everything to the left, oh yeah, that's part of our practice session. That's in our game preparation. And we'll say, okay, with this team, we're going to flip-flop it, and we'll go that direction.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
You've got T, in effect, a half a step outside of whichever way the point is going.
Mm-hmm.
The theory would be that that's an overplay, and then what you're really, on the one hand, you're saying you want the ball on the outside, but on the other hand, you're really saying if you overplay him, you're trying to force the ball back in reverse.
Not really. I don't want him, because we want the ball to go to the right, but we just want to keep him further away from the basket than we can. In other words, I don't want him to overplay to the point that he gets sucked out, and then a kid does a reverse dribble or a crossover dribble and beats him back to the free throw line. If he does that, you're beat. If he does that, you're in trouble. When we're talking about that, and I'd really hoped to have had players, because I really wanted to get on the floor and show you this. It's much simpler. But when you get on the floor with your kids, you basically, here's where your defense is playing. You're playing right across the top of this circle. And like I said, you don't want to go any farther than a half a step to, this side of this free throw line. Now, it's possible, that you get beat, and this is part of your scouting process. You know if that kid is strong with his left hand. Is he strong? Can he reverse? Can he come back? And if so, then you might have to make a slight adjustment in where you play that kid. None of this is gospel. None of it is that this is the way. You're going to have to make adjustments. When I took Bill Green's defense, I could not play his defense the way he played it. I had to come back and modify it for my players. So you look at this, you think about it, play with it. You've got all summer to do that, and you'll see where it fits your talent. Weak side rebound responsibility for the guard, and this is an area that I'll just tell you that can be a little bit weak for you. But when the ball is going to this side of the floor, and let's just say that you're in a 1-3-1 with an overload to that side of the floor, when the ball is here, guard has rebound responsibility on that side of the floor. And because you are, once again, we're stopping the inside game, we're pressuring out here, so, here's where we're weak. Now, the way we countered that is that the key was right here. If the ball is on this side of the floor and the shot, say, came from here, and the shot came from here, we sent Key right over here to rebound on that side of the floor. We'd send him down to help double up. Sometimes this would be a 6'5" kid or a 6'7" kid, or even 6'4", 6'3", and our guard might be 6 feet. So we would, when we knew that we really had problems over here, we would try to counter when that shot came by sending the Key down, and we would do the same thing, over here on this side. The ball was over here, and somehow we were getting in trouble on this side. We'd always have the Key ready to move to that side of the floor. And just for rebounds, even long rebounds, he would come back into this area here.
Did you only do that against special teams?
Yeah, it was kind of like where it was dictated. In other words, when you have to look at how do I have to adjust? Because there are times where teams are going to adjust to you, but how are you going to adjust? You've got to make some adjustments. And so this was just one of those little things that can give you some rebound help if you need it. Forward was normally one of our poor defensive players and maybe our best rebounded players. He was probably our biggest player. And if you get back to what we were saying about sending the ball to the right, rebounding to the left, we wanted our best rebounder on that side of the floor. So that's where he was. And he has, as I said, responsible for the first man to the right of Key. And so that, the one thing we did on those big kids, and I use that loosely on the big kids, but on our forward, and if you got back to the terminology and the rules, we said that Key had, our forward had the first man to the right of Key. That does not mean that he's going to come all the way up here and chase a player. In theory, that may be as as Key has his person, but we never, it was rare that we wanted forward getting too much ahead of the free throw line extended. And, you know, you might have to adjust it for somehow it's somebody that's shooting the daylights out of it. You would probably adjust it by doing something with the key, because once again, your poorest defensive player, probably your slowest defensive player, and if he is running up here, what happens? You know, he's just going to get beat. So we just never wanted that to happen. And he's responsible. We talk about lobs, and you see now kind of where this will fit in with us fronting the post here and the ball here. You know, he's in this position right here, you know, on that lob pass. So once again, our biggest person is in the middle, giving us the best help, and we'll show you how we, you know, we're teaching that. The center position, as I said earlier, center played the middle, and I always, my two favorite players was always the center and the rover, because I thought they were really your key players in what we were trying to do. They were very, very important. Center played between the ball and the basket. So if the ball's here, he's playing in front of high post. We got a high post here. He's an arm's length off, and he's a half a step to the ball side. Now, once again, I got the ball here, but remember, I don't mean the ball is ever going to be at the top of the circle. So if we had him right here, he's going to be an arm's length off, and he's going to be a half a step right here. Center was one of our toughest kids. Probably the toughest kid, the quickest, toughest, biggest kid you have is this guy. And I'll show you how we played the center position, how we played defense. Most offenses, if we got into an offense with a high post, or they flashed the high post, or they flashed up here, when the ball goes to the wing or the ball goes to the baseline, what does this offensive player normally do? This offensive player, the center, usually breaks to the ball or breaks to the low post. How do you defense that? Think in your mind, how do you think, or how in theory do your kids defense that? How do you try to teach it? And in reality, how do they do it? Most of them is what I call the old swinging gate. You know, here we are. Here's the free throw line in front of me. My center's here. I'm arm's length off. I'm a half a step. And here comes this kid cutting down. And what do? They pivot, let the guy come down, and now we're behind. And then we're trying now to adjust. Well, the way we did that, we told this kid that when that pass is made from here to here, he comes over, and that's his foot position. If I say that this card, this extension cord, is the side of the lane, here's the free throw line, and we now made the pass off the point to the wing, and my center was a half a step, arms off. We come to that line, and this right foot goes right on that free throw line. And here comes that offensive player. And we say, are you going to give, or are you going to make him go around? He's a cutter, isn't he? And what do we say about cutters? All cutters have to go behind. So we come over and we say this line is ours. And in practice, I will have kids taking that foot and would slide it down that line because they couldn't get off the line. That was ours. And if an offensive player was going to set up, he's trying to go behind into the